Captain's Log, Episode 37. This week's episode of the Beervengers podcast is sponsored by Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens. Now open 7 days a week with outdoor and indoor dining. Tickets now available for their epic 7-year anniversary party on June 27th. Limited reserved seating available at 11 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7 p.m. Get your tickets while you can. Enjoy the eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, home bar to yours truly, Captain Porter Brown Stout. In this installment, Captain Huck and Beer Wonder, over the course of 6 pours, take a little time to ruminate over the ever-evolving world of tentative post-pandemic public beer consumption with a variety of anecdotal experiences. In other words, we took a non-scientific approach to find out what the new rules are, all the while, of course, following official CDC guidelines. If you try this at home, your results may vary. Ours certainly did. Remember to like, star, and subscribe us whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeervengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 37, Riffs on Reentering the Beervengersphere.
Well, we're the Beervengers, Beervengers, Beervengers. We're the Beervengers.
Sweet. That's right, we are the Beervengers. Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Astoria, Queens, I am Captain Porter Brown Stout.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in New York, on Central... I've said too much. This is the Pale Male, Hophead Huck.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in the County of Kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder.
And we are...
The
Beervengers.
Those were right on.
That's who we are. We're the Beervengers. You're the Beervengers. We're all Beervengers. Some of us more Beervengery than others, depending on your placement in the Beervengersphere. Thanks to our the Beerbarian for coining that lovely term. That's who we had on the show last week. This week it's just the three of us. We like to do that for you every once in a while to sort of get to sort of have a little intimate time with us. It's been a while, so in fact, I think the last time we did it was when Beer Wonder. The episode entitled Brew Wonder, the one where you brewed your own beer, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Delicious amber ale.
Yes, the delightful hashtag blessed.
Yes.
So,
That's right.
our
Hashtag
finest.
Blessed Amber Ale.
Exactly. Well, and I gotta say, since I've been drinking for one over here, I've still got a few bottles of that left, believe it or not. So good. I should pass them out to potentially some of our fellow Beervengers near and far.
Excellent. Well, we've got a great show with just the three of us. We're gonna focus a little later on. We've been going out a little bit more, and we want to talk a little bit about what it's like in our slowly evolving post-COVID universe, and how that affects us and our fellow people and all of that. But before we do any of that, we've all got empty glasses here, so let's get to the pours, right?
I know.
I don't even know what the etiquette is today.
Wow.
No one does at this point, and really, I've already removed myself from that. Does anybody have a beer they're particularly excited about?
I am excited about my beer.
Okay.
Well, I'm excited about mine, but that means I think my introduction is going to be a little bit longer, so I think Huck should go first.
Very
good.
I think
that was very, how polite, Captain. How polite.
Very good. Very good. I'm going to do that in the future because I have some complicated beers coming up. This one's not too complicated. This is the Blackstone Dry Irish Stout.
Ooh, fun.
And this is from Redemption Rock Brewing, which is in the birthplace of the Pale Male, Worcester, Massachusetts.
A brewery from Worcester, Mass.
Really cool brewery that I was able to visit this past weekend. I even got a Redemption Rock glass to go with it.
Oh,
We
look
get in
at
a
that.
good
Very
position
elegant.
for pouring here. This looks like it would be better for a right-handed pour. So here we go. All right, you see that?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yes, there it is.
Trying to keep that glare off, but all right, here we go. Whoops,
Oh dear. Oh,
that is
so
very rich.
little dribble there.
Yeah.
Very rich.
Tiny little head. Oh no, the head production is bigger than I would have thought.
It's going right into the glass. So
Mm-hmm.
here we go.
Gosh, that's
Nice.
such a pretty beer. That really is beautiful.
Dripping. Yeah, it's got it's a good looking one. Yeah.
Yep. And also lovely with the dark background and the beautiful image, the logo on the front.
Blue
of the
looks
glass.
nice.
Let's see the can again. Yeah. Great can art too.
Yeah,
so
it's
pretty.
Nice.
Nice dry
Named,
Irish.
of course, for the Blackstone Valley. It's very Worcester.
All right, well, Beer Wonder, why don't you go next?
Okay. Well, I wanted to continue to my trend of local beers, and after we're getting into summer seasons, and it's starting to be a little bit warmer, and so lighter beers are great. Except I wanted to go in a completely opposite direction. So today, I've got Alewife Brewing's Frau Holle American Dark Lager. And check out that can art. Take a look at her.
Oh, that's a great beer. I can't believe we haven't had that one on yet.
I know.
Kudos to you, Beer Wonder.
It had been a bit, but I was excited about this one, and I saw it and realized it was not already on. So here we go.
I've had this beer. It's excellent.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a delicious beer.
It's a beauty too in the glass.
Yeah, it's got a nice head there, not too aggressive, but substantial.
And just so dark, so wonderfully dark, especially for a nice dark lager.
Mm-hmm.
So, and fabulous can art. So
yeah.
Frau Holle.
Well, my beer just happens to be a
sponsored pour.
That's right. It's a sponsored pour from Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we talked a little bit. I think last week was the first time we talked about it. They are celebrating their 7th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And they're having their anniversary party on Sunday, June 27th. Do I have that right?
Yep.
It's 27th.
Yes.
Yeah,
indeed.
we all bought our tickets. We're all the Beervengers, as well as the a couple other of the main Beervengers and some, at least 2 more. So if you'll see us there, and we'll
be at the 7 p.m.
7 p.m. seating. Yes, they're doing seatings at 11 a.m. That's a 2-hour one. And then they got a 3-hour seating at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. And someone else is celebrating their 7th anniversary this year, and that is Finback Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, happy anniversary, Finback.
So in conjunction with that, Ryan was gracious enough to give me their 7-year anniversary IPA. That's right.
Wow.
This takes a special event like this, but I am the captain. Porter Brown Stout is having an IPA on this show.
No,
I'm looking forward to reading the description, and then I'm sure you guys will explain it to me. But here we go.
We'll try to help you out.
I already know this is going to be gorgeous in the glass.
Yeah. I also am so happy that the captain is drinking an IPA. It just warms my soul.
There we are. It's a triple IPA, by the way.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. It's just so rich and orangey. It looks fairly hazy.
Yeah.
Decent head production, but it's just so gorgeous.
Minimalist can art on this one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. All right. And now we are fully poured, gentlemen. Sláinte.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cameras.
Etc. et al.
Oh, jeez. I'm getting spilly here. Yeah, cheers.
Very good.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Look at that lacing.
Yeah. Oh, that lacing on your glass is
killing
just beautiful. Mm-hmm.
This is a nice glass. It's a 10 ounce, so it's
slows you down a bit.
It's more of a taster, but I like to refill the glass as you go along. So I like the smaller glass. Real tasty, real roasty, chocolatey notes, very reminiscent of the Guinness or Murphy's. It's certainly that American style Irish stout. I really I like it when a brewery really nails it. It's not too thin, but it's certainly not too cloying or thick. That's what I love. Is like sometimes you get these when they do the lighter stouts, they're not, the body's not that exciting, But this one's got a nice mouthfeel, very smooth, real roasty, and getting a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of coffee. Really does put me right back in the old country, which is like what Worcester is to me.
Yes. I didn't realize the pronunciation. Well, I guess you've been away from there for a while, so you pronounce both R's. Or
Yes,
actually,
as
you
a
pronounce the R's at all, I should say, because generally speaking, the R's are not pronounced.
well, it's pronounced
natives.
Worcester. You're right. It's pronounced Worcester.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been away from the old country. You know, my accent has fallen off a bit.
Yeah.
I've lived in New York City for 31 years.
But whenever I see that,
well,
city,
that's why I talk like this now.
Oh yes, exactly. We all talk like a third tier character on The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Forget about it.
Well, forget about it. No, we don't do that.
Do we? I think we might. Sometimes.
I mean, when prompted to. This is our theatrical training, you guys. It's
right.
That's what it is. I did train myself to get rid of my Worcester accent. Worcester.
Years of hard work. But
we're all working for that neutral, flat, mid-Atlantic drone.
Yeah, when I was younger, I had to learn the Lord's what is the 23rd Psalm. If you guys are into your Bible, and so somebody told me if you tape yourself while you're sleeping, and then play it back, you can memorize it.
Yeah,
I said, okay, I'll try it, and I still have the recording. So it's this little kid going. As before my voice dropped, it was like, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in verdant pastures. He anointeth my soul." So it was pretty strong accent. After I heard that, I was like, I'm going to start to work on that a little bit if I'm going to be an actor.
Yeah, it almost sounds a little like Diamond Joe Quimby there.
Yeah, it's a little, I guess the Kennedy thing comes to my head, but that's what it sounded like. I'll play it for you sometime. You get a cassette player.
That's funny. The Lord is my shepherd.
The Lord is my shepherd.
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say, no, Captain, I was going to ask this, this being an anniversary beer, I can imagine that they put a lot of extra special touches into this one.
I mean, they're just so good over there at Finback, but this is a beautiful 10.1%. Like I said, it's a triple. It is, as you can see, it is very much in the hazy tradition because we are in the Northeast.
Yeah, it's got a glow to it, like almost like a radiation.
And I was telling Huck a little earlier that some of these hops that I'm seeing are a little flummoxed by all of them. I know I definitely heard of Citra, of course, and Strata, but this also has Belma, Brew One, if you know that one. But then also variants on Brew One and Citra called Brew One Lupamax and Citra Lupamax. Any clue about what that means?
So I know Brew One specifically, Brew 1. Which is a really fruit forward beer.
It is very juicy, yeah.
And it's Yakima Valley as far as I'm aware, but it often offers a little bit of bitterness if I'm remembering correctly, but I don't know what the
very subtle if it is.
Okay,
it's nice. It's smooth but not sweet. But it definitely tastes that hop profile, but not so much in the aftertaste. It's there. It's like, hello, the hops are here. And what's funny about it is I'm seeing something here on Untapped, and it must be what this means is they don't have information because it says no IBU, and I can't imagine this would have no IBU.
What was it, Ultramax? Right.
It just means we don't have the IBU. Lupamax, as in like the lupulin content is that's some sort of like lupulin on steroids or something. Hopefully not.
Yeah, I would say that they're probably a Lupamax. Yeah. Again, the beer one is right. Yakima Valley hops. They're concentrated hop pellets, so they're going to be real tight, and I think they're probably more based on the lupulin, which is the center of the hop. It doesn't say that it's just a concentrated hop flavor. So that's just the idea is going to have more of that direct hop flavor right to you. And I don't know if that's one that they add that are going to be more of the dry hopping near the end of the boil. I would think so. But to add all these hops, I mean, that's just a hop festival in that glass.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, it's like, but it's still got a really I think because it's a triple with all that dry hopping, it's just got a really smooth, clean finish.
Very good. This Redemption Rock is it's a lighter ABV as a Irish stout tends to be. I'm trying to find
like a 5 point something or other.
It might even be less. Oh, here it's 4.5, so it's very low.
4.5. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Well, a dry Irish usually is on the lower side of things, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was my guess was going to be 5.1 because I think once you get not much higher than that for your basic.
4.5 is usually like a Guinness is that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Mm-hmm. Well, on the very opposite side of everything here, I do have the Frau Hol. I did mispronounce it on the way in there. Frau Hol.
Hello.
Yes, which is just a casual 7% dark lager.
Yeah.
And I love the tag on the top of this can, so I just wanted to read it. It says, "The potion maker, the curator of moods, the spiritual guide of all things alchemy, from recipe of old to contemporary works," which I believe is the tagline for Alewife itself.
Okay.
Which, or specifically this beer, I'm not 100% sure, but it makes a lot of sense that you'd have this like witchy character because historically alewives are the source of what we think of witches as today because they have the big black pointy hats. And this one, it's just like a really balanced, malty, sweet beer that kind of is that like, it's a rainy day like we've been having in Gotham of late, that you just kind of want to like, yeah, just a couple. But like, it's the kind of thing you'd want to drink on that day, especially, when it's a little bit on the chillier side of things to kind of warm you up. The alcohol will do that too. But it's almost no hop profile, just really kind of rich, dark, caramelly, sweet, almost chocolatey notes to it. Just a really lovely, rich, thick, good creamy mouthfeel beer. But just really lovely. It's just, I've always enjoyed what Alewife does. I feel like the times that we've been there, we've often found some really good discoveries.
Yeah, actually, we need to go to their new place, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Their old place isn't there anymore, but I've heard a lot of great things about their new location.
I honestly have to say that I haven't been as much of an Alewife fan in the ones I've tried. I love the bar, but as far as their beers, I hadn't really come across one that I really liked until I had this one.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, well, okay. This is something else. I mean, because I actually had it as a sponsored pour, but I didn't... I didn't use it on the air.
I'll just put
it doesn't count.
Yeah,
but I did drink it.
No, I mean it does count
much.
because I almost mentioned that myself because we did have one of those from Astoria Beer and Cheese, Ditmars 35-.
Yes, you were kind enough to pick out the lager for me, and I enjoyed it very much. Last fall,
I feel like I don't know why. I guess it's just how what great staying power this beer has because I remember a couple years ago. We were on a crawl with Wheat Lightning and Nutpool and Cider Girl, and we started at Alewife.
Yes.
And I think I had that beer on tap. I think that was one of the first times I had it. It was that week. The other one by them I really like a lot is one I had on the show. I can't remember which episode. I think I had it on the show. Sometimes they come out at night. Sometimes or something.
Oh yeah.
That spicy Russian Imperial Stout. So good. In fact, they recently got some more of that, and every time I see it, I just like, well, I need to take a 4-pack of this home. Although I did learn there's some weird quality to that one where you need to be careful. It's not in the coldest part of your refrigerator.
Oh,
interesting.
Well, because sometimes the top shelf of my refrigerator gets frozen. It
right.
Not always, but like I could tell a couple cans did. And then I moved one down to the bottom shelf, and so not only did I have one that was like half frozen, but then I had the other one. And the can had like distorted. So I'm like, I'm sure this beer is still good, but I better have it now. I don't know what it is about if it's something to do with a combination of my crappy refrigerator or the quality of the cans, or I don't know. Whatever it was, I'm going to be careful with those cans going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Let me talk about Redemption Rock a little bit. They
yes, please.
They're right in the heart of Worcester, and their tap room was very cool, really nice place. And we managed to stop in just quickly, because we were actually meeting other people later to go to other breweries. But I was like, you know what? We're driving right by this place. Let's go in. And it was really nice tap room and just like super nice staff. And the beers were good. I had a Goza. It was called the Goose. And that was just a real pure Goza, no extra fruit added, that kind of thing. And I also had their Maibach, which was really very bready, reminding me of like challah bread.
Oh, wow.
Because it had a sweetness to it. And then on the way out, I said, let me try that stout. And I said, I'm going to get the 4-pack of that. But what's interesting, they're actually a certified B Corporation. I don't know if you heard about this.
Cool.
You know what that is, Beer Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you said
I do
how cool.
Mm. No, I have heard about certified B corporations, but for those people who may not be in the know,
Like me.
Yeah, it means it's a business that meets the highest standards of verified social and environmental performance, public transparency, and legal accountability to balance profit and purpose. B Corps are accelerating a global culture shift to redefine success in business and build a more inclusive and sustainable economy. And one of the
That's
things
great.
that got me, besides, we'll get into the whole mask thing later, but the one, as we were exiting, I paid the bill and they said that, they had like the screen and they turned it around and said, when you usually then you add your tip. And they said, we actually get salaried here. We're all salaried employees at a living wage. So we ask that rather than giving a tip that if you'd like to, you can donate to one of our causes. And we change the cause every month. And this month it's the Worcester Animal Rescue League. I was like, what? Like, what is this magical brewery?
Cool, yeah.
That's super cool.
And it was female employees too. It was a very, very cool spot. And I was like, oh, got to go back there again. So I was very pleased about Redemption Rock. And the beer is great. It's a really nice Irish stout.
So tell me a little bit more about this B Corp thing. I'm amazed it didn't come up in our episode with the Belgian Blonde when we were talking about all these like people doing responsible things. Where did this originate, and is it just a U.S. thing or is it a global thing, or
that I don't know? But there's the B, and I maybe
right. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. We'll definitely talk about that sounds like a good topic for a future episode. But
I mean, and most of the companies that I've seen that are doing this are primarily US based, but there is a certifying body, and there's a website you can go to get all the specific details. I think it's bcorp.com or something. But the idea is that, we know what C Corps are and we know what, S Corps are and all this thing. This is just a different designation that requires certain certification and gives you certain other benefits and rights within there, which is great. And it's folks we know. Like, I know Patagonia is just one that I've known that's a B Corp. So like groups that tend to have a social requirement within their founding principles, which is great. We need more of that.
Yeah, it seemed very cool. Obviously these statements, can sound like corpo talk, but we're going to do good things and make things better. Like, what do you mean? But I could see on the spot, like I told you, I could see what they were actually doing in the moment. So it was very cool. So what about those hops? I see you're like,
they are. First of all, I should say that this is hitting me. I feel the 10.1%.
Yeah.
But it's just like I probably won't be able to find this beer again because it's a sponsored pour. But Ryan gave me this a few weeks ago. It's like actually right before I left to Ohio. I'm like, don't worry, you should still go to Astoria Beer and Cheese, and they have lots of wonderful beers there. Yes. You may not be able to find this one there, but this is.
Hey, maybe it'll be on tap for the party.
Oh yeah, you never know. I mean, yeah, that's the great thing about the party is that it's 12 specifically curated beers for the party. It's funny because if they were, I have to say that if they were to sponsor, I would still be rhapsodizing about this because every one of these things I've gone to has been just fucking amazing. And they weren't able to do it last year, and I'm so glad they figured out a way to do it this year. And it's just. I don't know if you're right, but you're right. Who knows? Maybe they'll have. They definitely. I'm really hoping they'll have something from Finback because that connection about it being the 7-year anniversary for both of them. Mm-hmm. And have you guys ever been out to? Now they have a couple of tasting rooms now, don't they?
Finback?
Yeah, isn't there like one in Brooklyn or
Brooklyn?
There is.
I have stopped in there. Yeah.
There's one in Brooklyn that's part of that like 3rd Avenue crawl that is just waiting to happen.
Yeah,
we'll be there soon. Yeah,
exactly. But
it's basically across the street from Keg and Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been there.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I meant to say Strong Rope.
Strong Rope. Yes, Strong Rope.
Oh, okay, yeah. Keg and Lantern's a little more north in Brooklyn, isn't it?
Yes, they're more they're close to Torst, which we were talking about earlier this week.
Right.
Probably drove by it last night.
No, yeah, it's I did go to their place in Queens once, and it was just funny. It was one of these things where it was in the beer book.
Me too.
And I had to get on like maybe 2 trains and a bus, and then I had to like walk there, and it was a very residential neighborhood. And even though it's New York City, it's one of those places where people be like, "Who's that guy walking?" But
right,
which is what you always hear about LA, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You're able to hear about L.A. That there's
That
such a
fella's
car
down on his
city. It
luck.
was like, hey, yeah, we saw you walking. Is everything okay? Like, no, I was just walking.
Yeah.
But
have
I don't know if
sidewalks.
people would react that way there, but because I didn't see anyone give me any funny looks. It was my first thought was like, is this still New York City? I don't know. But I walked there and had a couple of great beers there, and that was and I'd like to go there again. But I also want to go to this one in Brooklyn too. We should.
When I was there a few months ago, they were still closed. The indoor area was still closed.
Okay.
Like they had outdoor seating, and you could buy cans at the door, but it was they've now, I believe, opened the inside now, so it will be a new experience to go there. And the one in Queens I went to once as well, but I did take my car.
I am looking forward to going to more of these different places. In fact, maybe this is a good segue to our talking about like going out and going to places now that we can. We've talked, we've dipped our toe into a little bit last couple of weeks about we've been hanging out and going to places and seeing what the different vaccinated, non-vaccinated, even asking any questions, policies. We've all been doing some of this, more going out. And I thought it would be great to just sort of share notes about the vast range of experience we've dealt with that. And so, Huck, you were talking about the 6 breweries you went to when you were in Worcester and the surround. Did I say it right there? Worcester.
There you go. You got it.
Worcester.
But usually when I used to get the bus at Port Authority, the girl behind the counter or the guy would be like, where do you want to go? Worcester. It's spelled Worcester, like Worcestershire
sauce on this steak.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they say Worcestershire sauce, so it's the same pronunciation. Yeah. Anyway, that's a sidetrack. I've been to 6 breweries since the last podcast.
Oh, wow.
Visited 6 breweries. So, I don't want to take up the whole podcast. You guys have got other things to talk about.
But we want to hear your highlights.
So we went to...
This is the main topic, Huck. Let's hear about your Worcester experience.
Well, the first thing was...
I said it too aggressively there. I've heard the thing about that accent is you don't lean into it hard. It's more of a lazy accent. It's not like, pack, you can have it, yeah. Right. It's more like...
Worcester's a little milder. It's a little milder.
Yeah.
The first thing, of course, had to go to Fox Farm Brewery. That's one of my favorites. And when I go to Worcester, usually when I go to the Cape, we go through Providence, so you don't go up that way, and Fox Farm's out of the way, but it's kind of on the way. So I pre-ordered at Fox Farm, and we just got curbside cans and bottles, which I'll be sharing next few weeks. There were people sitting outside enjoying the beers there. So the last time I went, it was like they were real. It was October, and they were like, "Oh, don't get out of the car, and we'll just put the stuff in the trunk for you." This time they were much more relaxed, and I could see people outside. It's a beautiful place. I really wish we did have time to stop there and enjoy it. It's gorgeous. It's really like a farm. It's just idyllic. It's very much in the woods. And then we got to Worcester, and I you see right there, I said Worcester because there was a vowel. So the R comes in. Worcester End. Yeah. So we got to Worcester End. We went to Redemption Rock, like I said. And it was funny because Cider Girl and I were there. And of course, here in the city, we have started not wearing masks outside, but generally when you go inside, you put your mask on. So we had our masks on until we sat down at the table and drank our beers. I didn't even realize that the girls behind the bar weren't wearing theirs. Just until we left, and we're sitting there like, "Hey, great, how you doing?" With the masks on, and I realized, wait a minute, they didn't have their masks. So that was like, and then we stayed at a hotel, and the hotel had a thing on the door that said, "Please wear your mask." So we did that, but I could see that people really weren't doing that. It almost felt like like you would expect Florida or Alabama to be. People were just going maskless. But recently, Massachusetts lifted the mask mandate because their vaccination rates are almost the highest in the country.
Yeah. Them in Vermont, if I'm not mistaken.
They have reached that 70% mark. And so they've been released. The faces have been released.
Here we were at like 68 right now.
Yeah,
We're very
right.
close to New
We
York.
we
yeah.
could do it here. We could do it here. We're just
Well,
No,
Cuomo, I
no,
hear
actually, no. But your point is very good because we could do it here, but they have just said they're going to. Cuomo just said a couple days ago we're going to lift a lot of it when we hit 70, and
yeah.
if we're at 68 now, we're very close. And so yeah. So anyway, go on.
No, it's fine. So what we were doing, we were meeting my cousin in Holden at their house, which is just outside of Worcester. And immediately, it's so funny. My Worcester mentality has taken hold. We went there, and Holden is just outside Worcester, so it's fine. Perfectly legal place to go. And they said we're going to go to a brewery in Barre, 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 Massachusetts.
Sure, it is.
And I'm
yeah,
like,
that makes
Okay,
sense.
what?
yeah, naturally.
Barre?
Who's he? Do we like him?
No, but it's still Worcester County, but it's like it's out in the woods.
Oh,
I'm like, why don't we just go to the Berkshires? It's just my mentality. I just drove from New York City, but here I am, like, whoa, that's too far to go outside of Worcester. Like, it was so strange. And if you talk to Cider Girl, she'll tell you I was like the whole trip, like, where the hell are we going? Like, we even passed through another town called Ocam. I'm like, what the hell is Ocam? I never heard of Ocam.
Yeah, it's a good place to go to buy a razor, I think.
And there's no highways to get there. You get an Ocam? Is that where you get a razor?
Oh, well, no, I was talking about
Ocam. I
Occam's
got you.
razor.
Occam's
Yeah.
razor.
Yeah.
Ocam's razor.
A
Yeah.
very your literary reference.
Keep them coming. And there were moose crossing signs.
Oh, of course there were.
I'm like, there's no moose in Worcester, but
In Ocam, I guess so. Yeah.
I guess in Ocam. Oh, is it Ocam? It's Ocam. That was another thing.
How's it spelled?
Oakham.
See, if we screw this up, we're gonna get letters. You
like
realize
Ocam.
No,
I would see that and I would say Ocam.
Exactly.
But it's Ocam. It's Ocam, even though it looks like Ocam.
My cousin, who's from Worcester, Shrewsbury, like I am, she was saying it's Ocam. My sisters all told me it's Ocam, but my brother-in-law, my cousin-in-law, Brandon, he's like, it's Ocam. It's Ocam, like with authority. And there's another town on the Cape called Eastham. And I'm like, how do you say Eastham? Because obviously Eastham is Eastham. And he's like, it's Eastham. It is not Eastham. I don't know where he's coming from with this stuff. Anyway, that's a sidetrack.
Anyway, fine.
So we had to drive 20 miles out to Barre. And I'm texting my sister who's there. And she's like, it's worth it. It's worth it. And it was.
Oh, cool.
Gorgeous, this place. Stone Cow Brewery. And I have some beers from them. We'll have them as we go along as well. It was like, we got out of the cars and we're walking up, and it's a beautiful day, and no one is wearing masks. Like they don't exist anymore. It was like this wonderland. It was like, because it was kind of an open air barn, and we were sitting outside, but it was just like, even when people went into the bar, the staff, like no one's wearing them. It was like, what is this magical place called Barre? But a beautiful place, Stone Cow Brewery. I highly recommend it. And I highly recommend Redemption Rock as well. Redemption Rock's only been around since 2019, so they're very new, but I think Stone Cow is new as well. But nice beers out there, and I hadn't even heard of them before we went. And then we also stopped at another place in Holden on the way back called Seven Saws, which was another nice brewery stop. Shout out to Seven Saws. So yeah, it was absolutely great. It was great to get back to Worcester, and because I don't go there anymore, because my family lives down the Cape, and if you know the geography of New York to Cape Cod, you go through Providence, you go through Connecticut, you don't really go to Central Mass. But
I have a vague sense of it, but for me, like I can look at a map for a while and just think, like, give me the GPS coordinates. I'll just get there. I know it's going to be a while before I'm there, but longer than it feels like it should, but not really that far.
Yeah,
we went for my aunt's birthday party, so that was nice, 80th birthday. But I had Cider Girl drive me around to all the my old houses that I lived in. We went looking at my old elementary school, like. So that was kind of nice. Looking at the house I grew up in, I was like, just looks so small. It was weird. I think it was because these trees that had grown in the yard had grown like 3 times higher than the house.
Oh, wow.
These giant pine trees that my dad planted in, the 80s. And so they were really tall. I was like, wow, So it made the house look really small. But it was a nice
And of
visit.
course, you were smaller then too.
I was smaller, but I mean, they moved out of there in 2005, so I had been in the house.
Okay, you were there up to like
Yes,
teenage years,
yeah.
but yeah.
But
I hear that story a lot about how you go back to a place where you thought was bigger and like, maybe I was smaller.
Well, we went back to the elementary school, and that looked exactly the same. Like,
Okay.
that was weird. It looked like there's no difference. That was a building that was probably built in the early 70s.
Oh, wow.
And it was exactly the same. It's funny.
Well, clearly you can see where they put money in if the school has been the same for, 50 years at this point?
Yeah, at least 50. Yeah, thank you. That's right.
You know, I just like to remind all of us who think of the 90s as yesterday that
right.
It was 30 years ago. The beginning of it was 30 years ago.
I would have started. I would have started school
20 years ago.
I would have started school there in 1972. Yeah, so that was a long time ago. With my Puff the Magic Dragon 45.
Yeah, it's funny. I was watching Jeopardy last night with Mayim Bialik, who I still will always think of as TV's Blossom hosting the show. I know she's been on other shows and done other things, but there's just something about her that still feels like a precocious child, even though she's a grown woman for many years now. And I was talking to the Belgian babe last night, and she was just saying, yeah, it's weird to me that she has a 15-year-old, and I did the math on it, like, you know, even that 15-year-old would have been born 17 years after Beaches.
Oh, wow. Oh my God.
Beaches, in case no one knows, is a movie with Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey, but Mayim Bialik, that was sort of her big, where she was discovered because she played a teenage Bette Midler.
Ah, I did not know that. I never watched it.
Yeah, well, I mean, but also if you've ever seen her on anything she's done, the idea that she would be pulled out of obscurity to play Bette Midler as a small person, it makes total sense.
Oh my gosh.
I used to be a big Barbara Hershey fan, though.
I like Barbara Hershey a lot too.
Remember her in Last Temptation of Christ?
Yes, and Shy People was a movie I saw. I really liked.
Yeah.
But back to breweries though. Back to our post our post COVID experience. Was there any more to the Worcester? That was
Worcester.
Almost condescending.
Worcester.
This is a good heavy beer.
Well, I did go to Regatta Deli, which is the greatest sandwich in the world. The Regatta.
The Regatta.
I hadn't had
What's
one
on the
in
Regatta.
15 years. It's fairly simple. It's a half a loaf of French bread.
Okay.
Not French bread, Italian bread, like a thicker bread.
Yeah.
Very fresh. And then they put salami, mortadella, and ham, and lettuce, tomato, white onion, oil and vinegar. Absolutely perfect sandwich. And
Beautiful. Delightful.
It was something I used to get like twice a week. I would go get a Regatta for lunch. And it was like, it hadn't changed at all. It was perfect. That's very much what Worcester is like. It's
exactly what you expect it to be.
Yeah, it's not like they're living in the past, but they're always just there's always a few steps behind. So when I grew up in the 70s and 80s, it was very like kind of a 50s town, you know? So now
I know. Yeah.
I mean,
what you mean.
now it's like, I guess it's kind of an 80s, 90s vibe still.
Sure.
But I'm sure I'm exaggerating that. There's a lot of progressive stuff happening in Worcester.
It's interesting because I had an interesting experience in a few Long Island City breweries, bars, both last week, restaurants. So I went. I mentioned last week that I was going to check out the new Baroness because the babe and I were planning on going there, and I was doing some biking around on the city bike, and I decided to swing by Big Alice. And I thought it was interesting because it was interesting when you're talking about the non-masked thing. I'm still, some places have very strict policies. Some places their policies are unclear. Maybe it was because it was a Thursday afternoon. Maybe things weren't that clear. Because I looked in and saw that there was a guy inside Big Alice buying something who was unmasked. And then I saw the person behind the bar was masked. It's like, well, I'll put on my mask to go in. And as I got there and I had my beer, I realized there was a sign somewhere saying vaccinated people are free to be unmasked. Unvaccinated people, please wear your mask when you're not sitting, which I think is a very nice approach. It's all
reasonable.
It's reasonable. It's on the honor system, although I mean I didn't see it, but then like as I got there, I have a feeling they're probably more explanatory when they're crowded, like they were when we visited there back in April.
Right.
But I even asked the woman behind the bar. I said, is there, what's your limit to people inside here? Because there was a time when, in COVID times, where if you would go there, there could only be one customer inside at a time. And she said, "Oh yeah, 3, 4, whatever, it's fine." I'm like, okay, great. And then as I was leaving, I noticed they had. You remember, Beer One? Do you remember that big outdoor seating area we saw that they had?
Oh yeah.
So they actually have an unvaccinated and a vaccinated section back there, which I think
that's cool.
I think is pretty cool. Yeah. So then I was done there, and I went up to the Baroness. The Baroness's new location at the former Corner Bistro place, which I liked better than their previous location and better than what the Corner Bistro was. It was so great, but it was so I didn't know what to expect when I got there. So we got there, and I want to say we were wearing masks at first because we weren't sure what was going to go on. But I saw a sign saying indoor seating is reserved for vaccinated people. Outdoor seating is whoever wants to sit there can. And so we went there, and she said, "So are you fully vaccinated?" And of course we both were. We were ready to show proof, but they didn't ask for it. Said, "Are you vaccinated?" We said we are, and she just opened up this like little, like, you know, one of those velvet ropes on a chain where she opened it up, said, and she ushered us in and said, "Welcome to the post-COVID world." It was so great. And so yeah, we went in there, and it was like and we had a couple of great burgers, and I believe the Belgian Babe had a cocktail, and I had a wonderful beer there. My only this is even really a negative thing, but my only thing I would say, because they're really focused on local beer. I had a brew from Casey, BC, and another one from Killsborough. Everything on their draft list last week was IPA.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have an IPA as I have tonight. Oh, it's over. I guess I'll have my second pour soon.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to see a little more variety on their menu.
Sure.
But I think it's great that they have so many local places, and the beers they have are really amazing. And I looked at their menu before I went there, and I saw somewhere on their website where they said everyone is going to get a 20% surcharge for gratuity.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. But then we got our check, and I saw ours wasn't on there, and I was going to tip her regardless of whether it was in there or not. But I asked her. I said, "Is there? Don't worry, your tip is here. Your tip is secured." But what was that thing that I saw on there? And she said, "No, it's not on there. If you ever come in here, it is on there. It will be denoted on there." But they've had so many assholes in the COVID year that they had to do it. Because so many of the people who were coming there in the COVID land were the people who thought nothing was a big deal, so they had nothing but shitty tippers.
Oh
man, that
or
sucks.
People who
That's
just
a
wouldn't
shame.
tip at all. And there was a few things that I read that we might have even talked about on the show. That I just thought was like a random thing where like someone said like, "Hey, show me the lower half of your face and you'll get a better tip." And I asked her, when I was talking to the waitress, I asked her about this. She said, because I just thought this was like something that happened occasionally. And I said it to her, and she said, it happened all the time.
Oh my God. And we're talking about the other location?
Probably, yeah. But I also think this is a general way of, since so many of the responsible people were staying home, the people who were going out were just people who were in the service industry were dealing with a surfeit of assholes.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
So and this is a weird thing that I read a while back, that before they instituted this policy, when they first started allowing indoor dining, most of the responsible people were choosing to sit outdoors.
Right.
So most of the people who were sitting indoors were more of the assholes. So by saying only vaccinated people can sit inside, they're flipping that switch.
Yeah.
I mean, this is this woman was very nice. She was a wonderful server. But she was talking about how a couple nights before, some people had come in and she asked them, "Are you vaccinated?" And they said no. And she said, "Well, you can sit in one of our outside areas." And they called her a racist. That's how bad it is for the people in the service industry.
Yeah.
So it was a very good experience, and it also a reminder of like, keep over tipping. Keep doing that. If you're someone who was doing that or is thinking about doing it, that's not over. Keep doing that. And then afterwards, we walked over to Fifth Hammer, and they were incredibly strict about it.
Wow.
In fact, we had gotten so lulled into like, we're in this maskless paradise, as you refer to it as, Huck. We came up to the door, and we thought, well, if we're at the door, we're just like, well, okay, it says vaccinated people are fine. And they said, "Can you put on your mask?" And immediately we both felt like assholes. Like, oh, and we because we had them, we put them on quickly. And I said, yeah, we'd like to sit at the bar. And like, okay, you need to show your Excelsior passes and your IDs. Well, we could have the card. We happen to have the Excelsior passes.
Yeah.
We need to see that and the ID next to each other. And we showed it. And we got up to the bar, and we had a beer at the bar at Fifth Hammer. And Huck was talking about how the Unmasked Paradise is great. The idea where you go and no one's even talking about it. I almost felt more elated by being able to show my pass and say, "Here is the thing I have to do to go to the bar, and now we're all cool." It was just like it's like, yes, we are. I like that they're being that safe. And then I had some similar conversations with the bartenders there about the kind of assholes who want to come in who are unvaccinated. And I think there needs to be a new job in the new world. The new job in the new world is going to be the vaccination bouncer, because most people who work at bars, people in the service industry, aren't equipped to be bouncers. There needs to be that guy with a thick skin and the big muscles at the gate in front of the velvet rope, who used to just work at clubs, who has no problem telling people to fuck off if they're not worthy of coming in.
That could become a thing. It could. I guess it depends on what rules.
Or it could become irrelevant if people keep getting vaccinated at the rates we're talking about.
Yeah.
But Huck, I think I saw that you have another beer there.
I am ready for another beer. The first one was great. You know what? I was going to have a beer from Stone Cow. I talked about that, the one in Barrie.
Yes.
And what happened was that I was moving things around my crowded fridge, and in moving, one of the beers spilled out.
Oh no!
It came out. I tried to catch it, and I slapped it, and it bounced off the refrigerator. It bounced, hit the floor once, hit the floor a second time, and then rolled across the floor. And I'm just standing there like, I'm expecting to hear the little hiss from, the can being burst open. But it didn't. You see how dented it is.
No, I can see the dent. Yes. Well, clearly it just wanted to be on the podcast.
It's dent, and that's what it was doing. And look at this dent.
Oh wow! Oh,
so it was screaming out to me, saying, "It's my time. It's time for the
Fox Farm." Is that what I'm saying?
Fox Farm. Yeah, this is the Pip. So
Ooh.
I'm not kidding. I don't know where there it is. Oh, let me hold it.
It's got a nice little squirrel on it. Yeah.
Fox Farm Pip. Let me hide behind that so you can use it as a picture. There you go. The Pip.
The Pip.
And the Pip is a light lager, 10 degrees Plato, if that has any relevance. Sure. I still have trouble. It's like binary code. I'm having trouble. Yeah. So the thing is that I did drop it, and so it asked to be on the show. I did give one to my brother-in-law, not the brother-in-law, but my other brother-in-law, who's really into Bud Light. I gave him 2, and he downed them pretty quickly.
Oh,
all right. No explosion
clearly drinkable.
Out of the can. It should be
maybe even approachable.
It should be very approachable. We'll see.
Oh, and into the pony glass. Love it. Oh, pouring so quick. Pouring so quick and so easy. Look at that. Nice, clean, crisp, clear straw color. Good head retention. I mean, honestly, that squirrel has produced something magic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I gave it to my brother-in-law because he loves the light lagers. Like I said, he's a Bud Light guy, but his name's Fox as well. So let's see.
Very good.
Well, Captain, have you visited a very special place as well?
I did. I wouldn't. No. It's we can hear the song. Sure. I've only had it for a short time, but we can. Yeah. I see you're grabbing for the uke. So
let's do the short version.
Sure.
Going to the captain's cellar.
Yeah, well, if you listen to our recent shows in Ohio, and if you haven't, go back and listen to them. There are two of them. They're
Why aren't
timeless,
you?
really.
Yes.
But the Incredulous Bulk, aka Dr. Bruce Beer Nerd, which is usually done in the reverse order, but man, that Finback is really hitting me. I think it's partially because I'm sitting in an unair conditioned apartment, so you don't have to listen to my air conditioner. The sacrifices I make for you, fellow Beervengers out there.
Yes.
But he gave me I brought him a lot of stuff from New York. He gave me some stuff from Ohio to take home. Most of it made it. I still haven't told that story. Maybe I'll get to that. But you may recall that he had a beer from Hop and Frog. He had that pineapple upside down cake.
Yes.
This is also from Hop and Frog. It's a cute little. This is one of the ones he gave me. It is the Sippin' Into Darkness Chocolate Martini Imperial Stout. Look at that adorable can. It's like an 8 ounce.
That is the cutest.
Yeah, it's a chocolate martini Imperial Stout. It's a high ABV. We'll get to that. But anyway, let's just do it. And since it is a chocolate martini Imperial Stout, I have this lovely Dorothy Parker martini.
I was going to say,
nice. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is non-traditional glass, but it's still doing what it needs to. Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, and it is. We're getting barely any head production.
Barely
here,
any head. This is a strong beer.
You should get like a chocolate kiss and put a toothpick through it. Put it inside.
Well, I'm too thirsty to do that. I had to go out and buy the kiss, but it smells so fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah, my dude.
Oh fuck yeah, my dude. Oh, only the finest. Well, it's been I've going out. I feel like it's so nice that we get to do that again. You know, because for me, like one of my happy places has always been sitting at a bar and you get that first sip of the beer. And it's like your shoulders relax and you're like back to all that. And of course, we haven't had that in the last year and a half or so. And I've talked a lot about going to the new Evil Twin, which I'm super excited to get you all to, which is a little more honor system about vaccination, and people are pretty close together, but they do have a bouncer at the door. So if it gets crazy, they'll take care of things. And of course, the beautiful rooftop at Randolph and all those other spots. But since I know a lot of us come from a performer environment, I wanted to quickly mention a spot that I'm excited that has reopened. It's a performance space called Caveat, which is on the Lower East Side. They used to be the Living Theater.
From them. Yeah,
exactly. Yep. So they're on their way back. They were sort of like a nerdy science talk place. I had the honor to represent beer in a beer versus wine event there, and I'm proud to say that beer won, as it should. But they're because they're a science focused place. They do a lot of science talks. They're also a fully vaccinated space, and they do require the Excelsior Pass to pass the front door. So the minute you walk through, it really is the sort of maskless wonderland. And they've been a complicated place because they are within a certain distance of a church, or maybe not a church, but a religious institution. And New York has certain laws about places that sell hard liquor within certain distances of schools and religious institutions. And they seem to fall into that. So in their previous incarnation, all of their mixed drinks were with a fermented spirit beverage, which gave them a very low ABV. And having returned, they are now, they have a new bar manager, and they're strictly beer and wine. And I will say their list was terrific.
Oh, wow.
So it was, I wound up drinking the Kolsch from Flagship, Staten Island. See, I told you I would represent for you guys at some point all night. And it was really lovely, but I was just really blown away by their whole list. And also, it was that magical moment of you walk into a space, they scan your Excelsior Pass, show it to you, and they say, great, you're welcome to take off your mask. And everyone does. And people who haven't seen each other in a while are just casually hugging, and people are lined up at the bar. But one innovation that they have, which is something I've seen other places and I'm excited about, is they're a performance venue, so lots of little tables. And sometimes the bar can get pretty hefty. The line for the bar can get hefty. Plus, there are people doing stuff on the stage. So they have instituted order at your table QR code setup, where you can scan the QR code, order, and then the server brings it directly to your table.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so you don't have to line up at the bar. It avoids that kind of crowding, and it was pretty great. just so happened I wound up by complete accident being the first person to use it while I was down there, and I was so enamored with the whole setup that I bought all my beers through it for the rest of the night.
That's
if anyone is set up to transition into this, it's the Alamo Draft House. I haven't been there since they reopened, but they were. The great thing about them was their order service was all set up towards not disturbing any other movie patrons. So it's even though it wasn't electronic, it was like write something down, put it on a piece of paper. There's like it's very contactless,
right.
Yeah,
doing it. So
Nighthawk Theater in Williamsburg. Yeah.
I do hear that Manhattan is getting a new Alamo Draft, or is getting an Alamo Draft House. I know we'd had.
Yeah, I heard that a year ago. I don't know what the progress has been. What we've been dealing with.
Read an article saying that they are in the process of opening it now. That that COVID has moved on, so it will be slightly easier commuting distance for Huck and probably also for you, Captain.
Yeah, I'm
just going to stick with the one that's within walking distance.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Yeah. So.
I have a couple of updates about the beer I have, unless there's more there with that.
No, that was the only one I wanted to represent for. I mean, because I've talked so much about all the other places that I've been to, but that one I thought was doing something kind of unique.
Absolutely. And a second, we should talk about the place we all went to last night.
Yeah,
yes.
last night.
But before we do that, this beer, this lovely, cute little Hoppin' Frog, is a 12.5%.
Oh my goodness! You've just chosen a life for yourself this evening, haven't you, Captain?
I like I said, when I go back and edit, I'm like, what did I say? Okay, but I also realize I want to correct a little bit of my huck up. Is that this is not one of the ones that the doctor gave me?
Okay,
he and I went to the Barrel House together. He helped me pick out some stuff and shop, so I bought this one at the Barrel House in Dayton, Ohio, and it's. I was they make some really good imperial stouts, like Russian imperial stouts. They have like a bunch of different ones, but they didn't have any of them there. But I'm like, well, this one will do. And right now, I'm looking in my refrigerator. I'm thinking, what can I have on the show? What do I need to save for when we all hang out together? And so, really, the reason this one jumped to the head of the line is the size. This is less shareable than some of my other beers.
Right.
So that's why I have this one, and it's really good. But yeah, last night, the two of us, as well as a Beervenger to be, so we'll just call her Molly for now, we all went to Grim Ales last night.
3 of us.
Oh, yes, indeed. And I think we had a lovely time.
We really did.
I love Grim artisanal ales.
I know.
And their tap room.
And it was funny. I'm hanging out in front of the place, and I'm reading, it says, like, vaccinated people don't have to be masked. That's a sign is there. And there's a guy who's sort of hanging out in front, and I can't tell if he works there or if he's someone who's there. He looks like he might want to help me, but I'm not sure. I don't want to be that person who assumes a customer is someone who works there, because that's always awkward. But he just, like I said, and so I just sort of said to him, like, I'm vaccinated. I read the sign. That's why I took it off. And he's like, yeah, I'm vaccinated too. Yeah, and I said, oh yeah, I've got like maybe 4 of us here. Do I have to wait for them to be here? No, come on in. Just see wherever you want to. And yeah, they're very, very chill, but it's entirely an unmasked environment. And we had a wonderful time there. Had one especially amazing Imperial Stout there.
Oh, yeah.
That they have bottled that I brought home, and something Labyrinth.
Memory Labyrinth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually looking at it. Look at the bottle, but I'm not going to go over and find it. But some sort of Labyrinth. Actually, if you look on our Instagram feed, I think I named it there. So there's your
and I had a really wonderful Berliner Weiss Clover Club.
Oh yeah,
that was delightful, and it had a savory. What do they call them? No, I got to look that up. But it was a juniper berries, I believe, was what they used in it, and when I drank it, it felt like, ooh, this is like almost like a V8. It gave like a smell of like almost tomato kind of smell. And it had juniper berries, and they say the juniper berries give savory juniper aromatics. I was like, oh, okay.
Now, aren't juniper berries part of gin?
Yeah, right.
Or yes, they are.
Yeah,
okay. That herbaceousness. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a little more of rather than a sweetness, they have a more of a savory, more of a perhaps an umami flavor to them. Yeah, it's a bright berry. It was made with raspberries, juniper berries, and orange peel. So as far as Berliner Weisses go, that was a nice one. And they have one on the menu that they...
Did you taste the orange peels?
No, I may have. I wasn't really looking for it.
No, the reason I ask is because the stout I loved so much also had orange peel listed in it. I didn't necessarily taste that. That might have informed it in some way or another, but orange peels tend to be pretty subtle, I think.
Yeah, and that's used in a lot of Belgian ales. We'll have that, or especially a Witte or a Belgian white will have that. Was it Memory Palace? Is that the one you had? Yes, because it had the cardamom.
No, it was Memory Labyrinth. They're both called Memory, aren't they?
Oh, one is that had the chilies and one doesn't have the chilies.
Right. Palace is the one with chilies, I think. Right. Okay. Yeah, they actually had the Memory Palace on bottles, and I brought a bottle of that home. But Labyrinth is the one they had on draft.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Really nice
great,
place.
Yeah.
And we got to meet Simcoe the cat.
Yes,
and
favorite.
That was cool. And our server, Chelsea. She was
great.
Just delightful. She came over and talked to us a little bit, and I was like, we should have Chelsea on the podcast.
Absolutely, we should. Yeah.
Well, and a huge shout out to her for like continuing to work in this industry and representing so well for Grimm, especially given everything that's been going on specifically with sexual harassment of women in this industry.
Well, she specifically mentioned that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please, Cap.
She was mentioning that. They haven't posted anything about it at Grimm, and she's like, "Oh, why? They don't have to, because Grimm is a wonderful, inclusive place to work, and all of that." She said all the brewers are totally nice people and aren't. The only sexism she ever experienced was from customers.
Yeah.
So that's really great to hear. Not that they hear that we get sexism from customers, but that the brewery is such an inclusive place to work. So another notch in the cap for Grimm, and they're celebrating their 3rd anniversary upcoming this month for their tap room. Although the beer has been around for a while longer.
Yes, and I will say we did do our best to try and get some information about an upcoming party, and they were still tight-lipped. But I will say to our Beervenger listeners, we did try on your behalf.
And it might even be the same weekend as the Astoria Beer and Cheese.
It might be, yeah.
Party, but there's a lot of celebrating going on the more we're getting out there in the world.
I've been on the PIP that where the captain went up in the ABV, and I went in the other direction. My first beer was 4.5, and the PIP here is 4.2, so it's a low one, but it's a lot of flavor, and it's a 10-degree Plato lager, and they're very excited about it over there. It's a characterful pale lager. I agree. It's got a lot of nice flavor. It draws equally from Czech and German brewing traditions. And there is a gentle whirlpool addition of Callista hops.
Ooh.
Throwing subtle grapefruit and stone fruit. Well, I don't know about that, but
Sometimes
I'm getting a very traditional light lager, and it's not like a Bud Light. It has a lot of flavor, and that's what I love when you get a low ABV beer that still has a lot of character. So this meets that requirement. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and give it a B+, if not an A-. Let's do the A-. I'm in a good mood.
I also want to talk a little bit about
first time I've ever rated a beer.
Yes. Well, are we going to do that now?
I think Huck grades beer. Honestly, I'm here for that. I'm here for that.
Oh, yeah. It's the best. It's the best pale lager.
This is the best chocolate martini I've ever had.
Very good.
As a beer.
I do want to just quickly shout out. We mentioned our friend Molly, who is a beer vendor to be, and Molly is becoming a dear friend, but is also a friend in podcasting. And I just wanted to since we've been doing this, I know she and the captain have gone back and forth a little bit as she's developing her own podcast, which is called the Brews Less Traveled Podcast.
Yeah, I listened to it this afternoon. It's so good.
It's really great. Yeah. I thought she and her current co-host Julie did just a terrific job with it. So if you're looking for another beer cast to put into your ears, make sure that you check that out. It is the Brews Less Traveled podcast, run through a group called Brewvana, which also pairs it with a box of the beers that are being sampled on the beer cast. So you can actually try the beers along and hear from some of the beer brewers. And I know that their current city, I think we can say it now because it's out in the world, right?
We can, because it's it.
Because it's out there, is Cincinnati, right?
Which means listening to the I think she's going to do this for a few weeks. I think the deal is she's going to go through, it's a weekly show, and she's picking a city every month, I think is the current format there. And if you listen to our Dayton episodes, there were 2 of those, episode 34 and 35, where we were really focusing on Dayton, but Cincinnati kind of spilled into that a little bit because they're only about an hour apart. So they have access to pretty much the same things. But if you liked our Dayton episodes, I think you'll really enjoy her Cincinnati episodes as sort of a companion piece. In fact, in talking to her, I know that a couple of the Cincinnati breweries she's featuring in future episodes are beers that I've had on the show previously that I actually had to get from Tavor because I was living in New York. But brews from Listerman and 50 West. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more of what she has to the places she goes and the people she sees, and brews less traveled.
Yeah, it's
so
cool
far.
because
I know you can get it on Spotify, and I'm sure she's working on getting it to more places as well.
Yeah, and conceptually, it's the idea that brews less traveled. They're going to cities that you might not think of as craft brew cities, and each week is going to be a new city, I believe.
Yeah,
unless
or I believe it's on a monthly basis because it's based on with a box. But every week.
I see. So she's not doing weekly episodes.
No, she is doing weekly episodes, but the idea is that every month is a different city, and they basically get a box of beers paired to that city that will be discussed on the beer cast, which I just think is kind of a cool way. I mean, it's you get to drink along with friends. Right?
I believe if you get the box, you get a weekly live stream.
Yes, I believe so as well.
You get a weekly live stream with the box. Yeah.
All the info is at brewvana.com.
Listen to that. And she's also going to be, she's got a very busy schedule, so I don't know how soon, but she will be a future guest on the Beervenger.
No doubt. I mean, last night we had such a good time that she is already a Beervenger for sure.
Yes. Oh, she's earned her way in. She just hasn't officially been named, and we know.
Right, which is why she will be a Beervenger to be, but we have yet to have a Beervenger to be that doesn't become a Beervenger by the end of the episode. So.
Yeah, well, we kicked around a couple names last night. We also went to Greenpoint Brewing.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
As an add-on up in, it's the very northern part of Greenpoint, Brooklyn, right near the Pulaski Bridge. And a nice spot, too. And they have an amazing can selection, and you can buy them individually. So if you're looking to get a variety of different cans to go, that seems like the place to go. It's a little bit out of the way, I suppose, but
depending on where you live.
Yeah, if you live in Greenpoint, it's right there. Also, if you live in Long Island City, just across the bridge.
I mean, in Astoria, I've biked over that bridge a couple of times, and it's I look forward to going back there again because it looks like they have a great kitchen too. They were closed when we got there, but I would love to go there for lunch someday. And
we did try to go visit our friends at Interboro Brewing.
We're closing a little early.
They were closing a bit early. So there's still a lot of COVID.
It was a Tuesday night, too, even in New York. New York has this whole...
It was a rainy Tuesday night, lest we forget.
New York has this city that never sleeps reputation. But even before COVID, there were certain neighborhoods that are like, yeah, it's Tuesday at 10 o'clock, we're done.
But Williamsburg...
It was 8:15.
Williamsburg.
Okay.
Come on. I expect more from you, Williamsburg.
Unacceptable, Williamsburg.
They're still
There's
coming
also
back.
an employment shortage.
Williamsburg,
they're still coming
like
back.
Everyone, they are still coming back.
And I will say I do love me Interboro, and I want to send them some love. I cannot wait to come back. You still have made the greatest beer and the worst beer I've ever had in my life, both, which means you're doing something absolutely right.
What's the worst one?
Did we hear that story on the air before?
No, but I'll tell it real quick. They had a series called the Yoplait series, which were based off they were lactose sours, and they were based off of Yoplait yogurt flavors.
That was from Interboro?
No, it was like, I'm glad they tried. I'm really glad they tried, but it was not for me. That said, they made a beer that I now cannot remember the name of where they distilled hop oils in their vacuum distiller in the back.
Ooh.
So they were basically boiling water at room temperature, which meant they didn't lose any of the really amazing aromas and flavors from these hops. And it was 2 days. Like, I still dream of this IPA. It was so good. I distinctly remember having multiple of them while I was there, then waking up in my apartment and finding them on my countertop. Still not quite sure how all that happened, but we'll get there. And then I believe it was a short run because I can't recall if I've ever seen it again. So. And it's still like I dream of this beer. So Interboro, keep doing what you're doing.
It's like the Tenacious D song. It was the greatest beer in the world. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the greatest beer in the world.
Yeah.
Tribute.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Well, there were a few hookups last week.
Okay.
Yes, I wanna hear about
Keeping
those.
us honest.
Mostly just clarifications and just for my own edification, really, personally. There was one hookup, and I apologize to the Beer Wonder for this one because I did refer to you as Boy Wonder.
Oh, well, you know what? Here's the thing. I know my youthful despite the lack of hair, my youthful good looks are confusing.
You really are selling the youth for sure. What we had, we were talking about Boston Beer Company and Dogfish Head, and I think I said, and they're still independently owned, and the Beerbarian said, well, I think they're involved with Boston Beer Company. And in fact, in 2019, Boston Beer Company and Dogfish Head had a merger, quote unquote.
Oh, okay.
But Boston Beer Company paid $300 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
For Dogfish
So
Head.
I'm pretty sure Dogfish gets to do whatever they want when they're like, you're welcome.
So that's actually been their biggest acquisition. And we talked about Coney Island as well, because we had them last week. So we actually doubled up on our Boston beer last week. Didn't I do it? Did I do a Sam Adams recently?
No,
I don't think we've ever done a Sam Adams.
We might need to. Yeah. We might need to at some point. Yeah.
I have one in the fridge. Coney Island started in 2008, and they were an offshoot of Schmaltz.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Schmaltz Brewing.
Oh.
Schmaltz.
Yeah, I remember Schmaltz.
Yeah.
And
well, they still exist.
They do still exist.
They still exist, even though Single Cut took over their upstate space.
Yes. They still exist as a brewery, and they sold the Coney Island brand and their facilities to Boston Beer Company in 2013 for, I just said they bought Dogfish for $300 million. Coney Island, $2.9 million.
Wow. That's still a lot of money. Wow.
So they really got it for a steal, apparently.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the portfolio of the Boston Beer Company to see exactly what they do have. Mm-hmm. And certainly their biggest acquisition now has been the Dogfish Head brand. Yeah. So they are Samuel Adams, which is big. Dogfish Head, I said they're the ones that knock. So they knocked on Dogfish Head's door. Dogfish Head, Truly Seltzers, Twisted Tea. They are Angry Orchard.
Yeah, they invented that, I think.
Did they?
Maybe I'm wrong.
They may have, or they got it early on.
Up for next week.
That's next week's hookup.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought that Angry Orchard was just Sam Adams' entree into the cider world.
I believe they were their own thing at first, but I'll have to look into that. Coney Island, Angel City Brewing. I don't know where that's a Los Angeles brewery.
Okay.
And something called Havana Lager, which is looks like a Orlando brewery, but in Florida anyway. Mm-hmm. And so there you go. That's their portfolio.
My general feeling is if you're acquired by Sam Adams, you still have more cred than if you've been acquired by InBev.
Yes. Well, and I feel like what Sam Adams does, it does seem that they just sort of throw money, get the organization going, figure out what your core beers are, find a way to distribute them, and then they just say, like, go play, kids.
And if there's anyone out there who feels that they have a brewery that they love that's been ruined by Sam Adams acquiring them, let us know, because we still like these breweries, but we may not be informed. So if there's another side to this argument, we want to hear it. We will have a whole expose episode if that's what it takes.
Wow.
Yeah, and I know that it expands these breweries' reach. So Dogfish Head now is found in a lot more places. I see the Sea Quench Goza that they make with sea salt and lime, which is a really nice beer, very, very approachable, drinkable.
Yeah, quaffable.
Sessionable.
I hear they have that in Arkansas.
And they even have it in Arkansas. And
no, they did it. They had it on an episode of Acquired Tastings. That's why I mentioned that.
Right. And so beers like that and their IPAs, they're just more easily found. The issue with that, and I actually have this issue with the Sam Adams brand itself, is the distillation of the magic of whatever they originally were making in a smaller scale. When it's made at a larger scale, I feel like sometimes a lot of the flavor is lost. And also, they can sit on shelves longer, and so the flavor can be lost in that way. Because when the Sam Adams Boston Lager, for example, I find I still enjoy it in a pinch. But sometimes the bottle might be a year old, and that's no good.
But I always like, if I'm in a sort of a more of a macro bar, if they've got the Sam Adams seasonal on draft, that's often a go-to for me.
Well, I will always try this. Every year I make a point to, well, I guess last year was the exception, but every year I make a point to try the Sam Adams seasonal because they consistently do interesting things.
Now, Sam Summer was always one that I enjoyed. And I had a couple already this year. I had their Shandy, which was actually a little bit stronger. It wasn't a traditional Shandy. They just made it with lemons. It was a light lager made with actual lemons.
No, that's kind of lovely, actually.
So that was kind of cool. Lost its nucleation quickly. Criticized the Sam.
There's that new word we're all
I give it a
C+. Oh my god!
All right,
Huck grades beers. That may be a new segment.
Strangers with Candy came out in 2005.
Okay, so that's the year that was then.
But my research seems to indicate that the blackout was 2006.
Then maybe they finished making it in 2005 and it was released in 2006.
Something like that.
Because I definitely saw that. It was a weird thing. I remember I was like, to elaborate on that story, I came home. I was like, there's this brownout. I went to Kew Gardens. I saw that movie. I came home. They were still fucked up. Then I went to the AMC on 42nd Street and I saw that Philip K. Dick. What was the movie by this Philip K. Dick? But it was, I think it was Richard Linklater, and it was like that kind of drawn over animation.
Oh,
you know you know what I'm talking about?
Back.
Yeah,
Slacker.
But that could have also been that year. Anyway, I think when I finally got the reason, like I said, that whole week I was going out to places to avoid being home in the dark.
Right.
And I think the last place I went, this is a funny story, is that I went to, because Cider Girl, or her roommate, however you want to say this, was doing a Showgirls puppet show.
Oh yes, that was good. That was funny.
and I think the Saturday night I went to see the Showgirls puppet show. When I got home from that was when my lights were finally back on. That year.
Oh wow!
So then, she can tell us what year it is.
Puts me further back.
Yeah,
we'll have to ask.
Remember what year you did Showgirls puppet show?
This is live Huck Up fact checking. I love it. Well, it with a little quick nod to Week in Beer, unless we've got a few more hookups.
Real quick segue. You inspired me last week. I had a small beer, so I'm having a third pour. I'm doing
what?
I'm doing the Fox Farm Hearthbound Porter that was given to me last night by Hophead Huck.
Oh my goodness!
And here we go. It's only like a 6.5% or so. This will sort of center me.
Look at that. Oh, so dark, so rich, so beautiful.
But a very nice head, too.
It'll average out your beer consumption tonight.
I think it will. Anyway, go on.
Well, just for Week in Beer, I did want to just note that New York City Brewers Guild is holding their can sale this coming weekend. So hopefully you were able to make it to that. So that's always pretty exciting.
Is that virtual or do you have to go to a place?
No, it is actually live. It's they bring a number of the breweries together, and you can buy. I think it's generally individual cans.
But where do you go for that?
I have to double check the location.
Oh no, I'm just because I never thought of New York City Brewers Guild as a place.
No,
thought of them as an entity.
Yeah, they've always hosted it at a brewery. It is 12 to 4 on June 13th. So this coming Sunday, and it's going to be just outside the Brooklyn Brewery Tasting Room in Williamsburg.
So when you hear this will have already happened. So hopefully you went there and had a wonderful time.
I hope you had a great time.
But noting that, I did also just want to, because I always look to the New York City Brewers Guild because they're always doing interesting things. They're doing a great collection because it is June. Happy Pride, everyone, of the incredible Pride beers that are happening in the city. Quick shout out to one that I am looking forward to getting. Our first, I believe, beer that I've seen in New York City featuring a lesbian, which is the Alice Austin beer coming out of Flagship Brewing Company, made in conjunction with the Alice, supporting the Alice, Clear Comfort Pilsner, which is supporting the Alice Austin House, which is an historic site in Staten Island. So wanted to shout out to them. Also, because I'm still trying to make up for how many weeks of bashing.
I think we need to say what's good about Staten Island. You're right.
Thank you.
My general shitty comments about Staten Island apply to the general shitty people in Staten Island, but there are a lot of good people aside from them.
Yes.
And some of them are wonderful friends at Flagship and Killsborough. We might even be making a trip out there soon. I don't know if I'll feel comfortable wearing my Beervenger t-shirt because in case someone out there is listening, we might need to be incognito. But I really want to go to that bar that where Killsboro's in residence. And,
yes, absolutely.
And I'll reach out to you guys. Because I haven't been to Staten Island in a while, and there's a lot of things to like about it. Even though the some of the worst people in New York City are there.
Yeah. Oh, agreed. The politics are terrible, but honestly, I can't wait for this Alice Austin house.
I said some. I didn't say all.
I know.
And I didn't say all the people there. I said some of the worst people in New York City are in Staten Island, and probably some are. I probably have some neighbors as well. You never know.
One never knows, do one?
Yeah. Just one last hookup. It was
sorry.
The band you were talking about.
Yeah.
That you drank the beer for, Acacia Strain. It was definitely, they were a heavy metal band. But on that album you're talking about, they do a cover of Black Hole Sun. So,
I like that song.
Yeah, so just a little.
Is that what's Stone Temple Pilots? Is that the one?
Soundgarden.
Yeah, I don't know my 90s.
I think Johnny Cash does a good cover of it too. Am I right about that?
Well, he does Hurt.
That will be in the hookup.
Black Hole Sun, won't you come?
I hurt myself today.
Love some old Johnny.
If I still feel Black Hole Sun. Well,
that's took on a whole new meaning with Johnny.
I wasn't sure we'd fill a show with just the three of us, but man,
I mean, we are fascinating humans, and if you're listening, hopefully you think the same. Yeah. But here's the thing: if you would like to be on the show, or you want to get us some information, Captain, where can they find us?
Well, all you have to do is email us at thebeervengers@gmail.com. I mean, sometimes I'll even, if you send us messages, I'm slowly figuring out that way. It's there, the direct message stuff on Instagram or any of those places. We're at the Beervengers on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. I mean, you can even write stuff in the comments on YouTube. We haven't gotten many of those except for people that seem like they're unscrupulous. But we'll still read them, even if you are unscrupulous. Or I don't know if you think.
Yeah, we're probably most active on the gram, I think.
I think you're absolutely right there. But I also, but the email is a really good way to reach us as well, because that we see those.
I did want to see about I don't want to give the Hearthbound Porter a short shrift.
It's really good. I mean, it's a really solid porter. It is. I mean, it's a Hearthbound Robust Porter. I think is the full name of it. Where's the can? The can. It's right here. I'm 3-pour show for me.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I mean, because the last thing I remember, it's probably they're not the only person who've used it, but the Smutty Nose had one that was specifically just called a Robust Porter.
Yeah,
and it has that. It has very robust flavors, and it's very solid. And I look forward to finishing it. And who knows? Maybe I'll add more notes next week. But it's really good. Thank you very much for this wonderful gift.
Yeah, you bet. Fox Farm, yeah, they're great. I want to make sure you guys got a little bit of taste of that.
Also, I know we mentioned Arkansas briefly. Thanks again to the Acquired Tastings people for having me on the show. If you haven't listened to my episode last week, I listened to some of it. That's no short shrift on them. I just if I don't have to listen to myself, because I listen to myself when I edit the show every week.
Oh, that's right. You have,
and I don't always like listening to myself that often. I'm like,
sound good, Captain.
No, we like listening to you.
We like listening.
It's not whether or not I sound good; it's whether I like hearing me. It's nothing. Thank you for your generous compliments, but I hope I think it's a good episode. So listen to that. There's a brief hookup there. I had the Evil Twin Gingerbread Stout, which is made by gingerbread from one of the oldest bakeries in Queens called Rudy's. And I listened to myself in the first 10 minutes of that episode, and I think I called them a brewery rather than a bakery. So,
I mean, there's more water.
I spent the entire day chasing down my luggage from Delta, coming home from Dayton, and that's a only interesting to the person it happens to. So I won't give you any more details there. But anyway,
well, thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
Hawk is clutching the uke, so I guess it must be.
He
time
is.
For us
I guess.
to...
I guess the episode
another
is running.
great show, and we'll see you next week with another fantastic show. We'll probably have a new guest next week.
I certainly
believe
hope so.
Another Beer Avenger to be.
Thanks everyone. Thanks all of you for listening. Thanks for being here. And I don't know what to do when we don't have someone to tell to come back anytime. But you guys come back.
I mean, yeah.
Tell the listeners to come back anytime.
Yes, listeners, please come back anytime. All right, Huck, play us out.
With the Beervengers, Beervengers, Beervengers.
We're the Beervengers.